Hi, I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for being here at the Tarot Tips. Continuing on this idea about doing some actual readings using some simple methods which come from my Tarot Spreads and Layouts book. You can get this on Amazon, you can get it on my website, you can get it through your local bookstore, which I would encourage you to do that. The point of this book, and really something that I've stated before, is that you don't need a lot of cards in order to get good information. So today's video, the second in this series, is going to be about how do I deal with issues of time and timing. When will I get that new job? When will I sell my house? When will I find a partnership that works for me? When, this is a question that people ask all the time. Although there are various ways which are explained in the book to look at matters of time and timing, my favorite way is to not ask, not to try to figure out the when, but to use increments, whether it's months or weeks or seasons, and then pull cards for each of those increments and see where you see your issue being resolved or your question being answered. So rather than saying, when will my house sell? We're going to say, will my house sell in the winter? Pull a couple cards for that. Will my house sell in the spring? Pull a couple cards for that. Will my house sell in the summer? Pull a couple cards for that. We could say, am I likely to be getting a raise? When might I get a raise? We might say, okay, let's look at December. Let's look at January. Let's look at February. Let's look at March. Pull cards for each of those increments and see if we see our raise coming through in any of those things that we've defined. So define the time frame, pull cards for that, see where you see your issue being addressed and resolved. The other thing that happens, is that until you see your resolution somewhere on the table, this method also gives you an idea of how the thing might unfold. Am I going to have challenges? What do I need to do? What's my best approach during these other time frames? So you get a little double whammy there, two for the price of one, really, in terms of the information that you get by setting out the increments first, rather than we're asking the one question, but we're kind of going around the back way to get to our response. Okay, let's always remember that, matters of timing are tricky, but this is a method that's really proven to be pretty effective. At the very least, it's going to show the nature by which something's most likely to unfold. Not going to absolutely, but this is the pattern that we're looking at. So let's go to the tarot table, see what we see. Let's look at this imaginary scenario about getting a raise or getting a promotion. When will I be getting this raise or this promotion? Again, you can use the when question for anything. The key here is to set out increments, time increments that are reasonable for your situation. If you're going to ask a question about, is my house going to sell, you're not going to use necessarily years. You're not going to say this year or next year or the year after that. You're going to say, well, maybe in months or maybe in seasons. So for this issue about work-related sorts of ideas, let's use the increments of months. So let's say this is a person who wants to know about, I'm due for a promotion or a raise, some sort of increase in my benefit at work. When might I see that happening? So we're gonna pick one card for each increment. You could pick two, but I wouldn't pick more than two. Actually, let's pick two because that'll give us a better idea of dynamics. So we're going to say, okay, do I see it in this month? Always start with where you are. That sort of sounds like sort of Zen, but start with the month or the time or the year, the season that you're in. So this is for this month. Do I see it coming next month? Do I see it 2 months out? We'll pick these for 4 months out. And again, I always like a little helper card, so we're going to pick this. So essentially what you're saying is, what is the energy around each of these months in regards to the question of when I might be getting some kudos and some payback for my hard work at work. So the month that I'm in, Death and the Devil. Don't see it there. If anything, I might feel like, how long do I have to keep doing this? Those are, you know, each one on its own might have indicated a no, but that's interesting that we pull 2 cards and we get a very similar thing. So this current month for this person does not look promising. There are other forces at work, things that are out of their control, and they're probably not going to get what they want in the current month. How about the next month? That's a really good turnaround, the Sun and the Eight of Pentacles. First of all, this heavy, serious, major arcana energy of the Death and the Devil gets transformed into the Sun. And then we see a new beginning. Pentacles, we've asked a work and a money question. It's always great when we get a pentacle. Can't always count on that, but that's kind of nice when we see it. So I would look at that, and even though we will view what the other 2 months have in store just as a follow through for this person, I'm going to say that this month, just go about your business, put your head down, try not to get in any trouble. The next month is where you're going to have a chance to shine. You're going to feel kind of like you got out of prison here, and you have a new, fresh start. So I would say that that answers that person's question of when in a fairly clear way. So given that we do see the change, not in the current month, but in the coming month, let's just see, well, what's the next thing that we could expect? 2 of Cups with the Hierophant. Again, partnership, pairing, and then this leadership position. I think there's positive things coming for that person in terms of what role they might be taking. They might be either the position of the teacher or the mentor or the trainer, let's say, or they could be somebody who's getting trained, who's being mentored. But either way, there's this nice harmony here with that 2 of Cups. So an alignment there of that person with their work. Make sure we're getting everything in the frame here. Okay, so that's 1 month out, 2 months out. This is 3 months out. How is this person apt to be looking? Wow, Lovers with the Page of Swords. We see the higher vibration here of the 2 of Cups in with the Lovers. And then after the training and after a certain established kind of sense of what the role of the job is, here comes some new ideas. So, I would look at that and say, if that person can kind of get through the next month, get through the coming month, Death and the Devil, the 3 months after that looks stellar for that person. Okay, we're not going to spend a lot of time on interpretation here. I think you get the general idea. Here's a helper card. Now, in this case, I would say that the helper card, although you can ask whatever questions you want to ask, build on this basic framework in whatever way works for you with your question. But I'm going to say that card, whatever is here, is going to be what can help me do the best that I can for myself with my work life. This is really, a nice combination of physical security, my money, my resources, my benefits here are positive, but there's also some nice self-expression going on there and some collaboration with others and feeling like I'm in a position that's a good fit for me. So what can help me get there? Ace of Swords. Oh boy, that's, I'm always going to look at elements. In the Ace of Swords, we do see the Page of Swords over here, but we don't see a lot of sword energy with these other increments, with the pictures of the month. The Ace of Swords to me would say, don't compromise your values. Say what you really think. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Stick up for yourself. Be true. Don't mince words. Believe in yourself. All that kind of bottom line stuff. The Ace of Swords, so empowered and empowering there. Okay, so matters of timing can be dealt with very effectively. And I think you can see there that even though we saw the answer, quote, answer to the question fairly soon, there's other information that you can glean by pulling cards for the next couple of months as well. All right, so have fun with that one. It's an easy method and can give you lots of different directions to move in. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.